Sir, I'm
Okay. Okay, good afternoon, my dear friends. Welcome to today's session. My dear friends and CPGET 2024 Botany aspirants, hearty welcome. Today's our eminent resource person, Dr. A.Kavitha Madam Garu, Assistant Professor, Department of Botany, Food and Nutrition, RBVRR Women's College, Autonomous, Hyderabad. Madam has yesterday explained about the general characteristic features of Pteridophyta. Now, today, Madam is going to explain about the type studies related to Pteridophyta members. Madam, please
yes.
share your screen and start your session. Madam, please welcome.
Okay, sir. Thank you. Okay, good afternoon to all the aspirants.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, good afternoon to all the students here who are present. So yesterday, as we discussed about the general characters of pteridophytic plants, and today we'll start with the type studies. So what are there in the syllabus of your degree that we are going to study now? So I will begin with the Lycopodium today, the type study. So just start sharing my screen. Am I audible? Is it clear for you all? Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
fine. Right. So just start sharing my screen. Yeah. Can you see the screen here? Please respond. Can you see the screen?
Yes, ma'am. We can
Fine.
see.
Right. Okay. So we are starting with the type study, the so-called Lycopodium. We'll look into the classification of this type study. So this is a very, very important for all the type studies. Whatever you study in your there's a lower plants. Either you will study algae or fungi or bryophyta or pteridophyta or gymnosperms, whatever the plants you are going to study, the life cycle and all that. Before that, classification of that particular type study is very, very important, because in the questions they may ask you belongs to which order or belongs to which family and all that. Definitely one question will be coming from the classification. So you are very much practice writing the classifications in a book, whatever the type study you study. Okay, classification of bryophyta, suppose all the three what you study in your syllabus, you practice the classification first. Okay,
Ma'am,
then you can go. Yeah.
ma'am, they'll give compulsory question about classification, ma'am.
Yeah, maybe or may not. I can't say it is compulsory, but once in a while, definitely they'll be asking you here, not only but pteridophyte, but from any type study, one classification will be asking. I'm not saying only Lycopodium they'll be asking. I'm not telling only Markensia they'll ask. I'm not saying like that. Among all the type studies what you study, one question on classification will be must.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so please try to make a note of that in your books. First, practice the classifications. Then you can go for the rest of the study. Am I clear?
Okay, ma'am.
Right.
Yes, ma'am. Clear, ma'am.
Yeah. Lycopodium. So we are going for the classification here. It belongs to the subdivision called as Lycopsida, and it belongs to the order Lycopodiales and the family called as Lycopodiaceae. And the genus, what we are studying, it is Lycopodium, and the species we are going to study about it. It's not a particular species we are studying here. It depends upon the, it differs from a few points, which will differ from one species to the another species. But this is an overall type study of Lycopodium genus I'm talking about. Okay. So this Lycopodium, it is commonly called as, you can note down these points also. They are commonly called as club moss, or it is also called as ground pine, or it is also called as trailing over green. So these are the commonly Lycopodium, depending upon the regions and all that, they are commonly named as them. And this particular genera Lycopodium, it is represented by 400 species worldwide. That is in the entire world, there are about 400 species of the Lycopodium were discovered till now. And in India, the list Lycopodium plant is represented by 33 number of species. So among them, the common species what we can observe are Lycopodium cernum, Lycopodium clavitum, serratum, volubuli, edentanum, phlegmaria, and silago. So these are the common, very mostly observed species and studied species in the Indian country. Now, so we're moving on to the habit, that is where they are growing. So these pteridophytes, it is a terrestrial plant. Okay, so as we studied in the general characters, pteridophytes are terrestrial, aquatic, and xerophytic also. But this Lycopodium, it is a terrestrial, found in the open woodlands in moist and acidic soils. There are certain Lycopodium, example called as Lycopodium phlegmaria. Now this species, it is an epiphytic species. That is, this is going to be grown on the higher plants. So you can note down these examples also, ma'am. Lycopodium phlegmaria. This is a species which,
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
yeah, which is
I'll
an,
write, ma'am.
yeah, this is an epiphytic growing on higher plants. Lycopodium clavatum. So this is an erect and shrubby plant. Lycopodium cernum. This is a creeper. It is a creeping form. Okay. And this plant, Lycopodium, it is going to give erect branches at regular intervals. And these branches, it will be highly branched and gives you a bushy appearance. So this is about the habit. So you can look into this here, the diagram of Lycopodium plant. So you can see here, this is a stem. Okay. And below that, these are the roots which are emerging from the nodal regions of the stem here. And upright, these are the branches which is going to produce. And the complete stem and the branches, they are covered by the leaves. You can see here, these are the green colored one, they are covered by the leaves. And at the tips of the branches, you can see these are the one which we call it as strobili. Now, these are the beautiful images of the species. This is of Lycopodium clavitum, Lycopodium volubuli. This is of Lycopodium phlegmaria, serratum, and this is Lycopodium edentanum. Now, this is of Lycopodium cernum. And here you can see the branch or the stem of this Lycopodium cernum. Here it is dichotomously branched. That is, the branches are growing equally or unequally, but they are ending up with the two branches. So that is called as dichotomously branched one. So that is regarding the habit. Now we are moving on to the morphology, that is external morphology, what the plant is and all that. So this plant body, as I told you, the dominant phase of the Pteridophyta, it is a sporophyte. That is, adult plant is a sporophyte. Here the Lycopodium plant body is also a sporophyte, which is differentiated into root, stem, and the leaves. Now, considering the variation in habit, so Pritzel, he is the one who divided this genus Lycopodium into Eurostachya and Rhopalostachya. So this is also another important points to be remembered. Subgenera. So this Lycopodium is a genus, and the scientist Pritzel, he has divided his Lycopodium based on the place where they are growing. Based on that, the subgenus called as Lycopodium eurostachya and another subgenus which is called as Rhopalostachya. So this was given by the scientist called as Pritzel. Now, so what is the difference here between these two subgenera? So Eurostachya, this is In this subgenus of Lycopodium, the plant body is having an erect stem. But whereas here in the Rhopalostachya, the stem is a prostrate with upright branches. Prostrate means the stem will be growing on the ground surface. It is not erect. It is not standing straight. It will be creeping on the ground surface. That stem is called as prostrate stem. And here the stem is dichotomously branched. Here also in Rhopalostachya, here also we can see the dichotomously branched one. But later it will get transformed into producing only a single branch, which is called as monopodial. And here the leaves and the sporophylls are almost the same size. But here the sporophylls are smaller than the foliage leaves. And we can see the presence of adventitious roots along the entire stem in Rhopalostachya. But whereas in the Eurostachya, the roots will arise from the base of the stem. Next, here the sporophylls are arranged to form the strobili or the cone, whereas here the vegetative reproduction is carried out by the bulbils. Sporophylls are just in the form of the cones also here. So the best species which comes under this group of subspecies, subgenera, they comes under Lycopodium compactum, Lycopodium selago, and Lycopodium phlegmarium. These are the species which comes under the subspecies called as Eurostachya. You can take down these points also, ma'am. So just I'm
Okay, ma'am. Okay. I'm writing already, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm just highlighting here. So these are the three species. And here, Lycopodium cernum, clavatum, and densum. These are the one which comes under the Rhopalostachya. Right? Next. Next, we're moving on to the morphology. The root of this plant is ephemeral, that it is growing for a larger time. Older plants, they have adventitious roots. They arise from the pericycle or the endodermis. Stem, when we talk about the stem is weak, slender, and rhizomatous. That is just now I told you, it is the stem in the case of, we are talking about here the Lycopodium cernum or clavatum. They are the one which are going to have the okay. Okay, they are going to have a weak, slender, and rhizomatous stem. In some species, the plant may be erect, that is, the stem may be erect, and in other species, the stem is creeping. So branching, either it can be a dichotomously branched or sometimes it becomes monopodial. And whereas the stem and the branches, it is going to cover with the leaves. Now, when I talk about the leaf, so here are the beautiful images you can see here. Okay, so the leaves are simple leaves. So you can see here the structure of the leaf. The leaf is a very simple, and you can see here they are sessile. They are not having any petiole. Okay, so they are sessile. The complete leaf lamina is attached to the stem or the branch. So that is the reason why we call them as sessile. In some of the species, they are reduced to the scale-like structures with a median vein, with a central vein. We call it as a microphyll. As they are very small, we can name them as the microphylls. And another important point, you can, yeah.
Ma'am, leaves can also, we can also call as, either they're also having reticulate venation.
Yeah. Here I can't call it as a perfect reticulate venation, but it has only a central midvein. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Right.
Okay,
So
ma'am.
next, these leaves, they are on the branch or on the stem, you can see here, they are very compactly and densely arranged. That is, they are very overlapping with one another. You can see here these structures. The leaves are very many in number and they are overlapping with one another, and they are spirally arranged around the stem. That is, on all the sides of the stem, you can see the presence of the leaves. That is called as spirally arranged and dense on the stem. and they are whorled arrangement. Decussate or whorled. Whorled means they are arranged in the form of a circle around the stem.
Ma'am,
Or, yeah. Yes, what is it?
decussate and whorled means what, ma'am?
Whorled means in a circle form. So you can see here, okay, around the complete around the stem, you can see the presence of the leaves.
Okay.
Okay. Whereas decussate means opposite, like if one leaf is, you can see here, if one leaf is there here, the another leaf will be on the opposite direction. And when we go to
Okay,
the
ma'am.
just above of it, it will be in the opposite direction. That we call
Okay,
it
ma'am.
decussate.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, you can see here, this
Okay.
position, the leaf is here. But when we go a little bit upside, the leaf position will be in the center.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so that condition is
Okay.
called as decussate.
Okay, ma'am.
And these leaves, they can be of isophilous type or anisophilous. That means the leaves which are present on the stem or the branches, they are of same type, same shape or same type. So such type of leaves are called isophilous. Whereas anisophilous, the leaves, the shape of the leaf or the size of the leaf, they may vary. They may different from one another. So such a type of leaves are called as anisophilous leaves. But in the example here, you can see Lycopodium volubuli. So in this species, you can see these leaves are arranged in 4 rows. Okay, right. So 2 rows will have the large leaves. One ventral row of the leaves are small hair-like, and another row is of medium size. So you can see there are 3 different types of leaves on a same plant. Are you getting this point, girls? That type of leaves are called as anisophilous, and that is observed in the example called as Lycopodium volubuli. What are those 3 different types of leaves? One is, so I'm just highlighting here this one. In Lycopodium volubuli, we can see the presence of anisophilous leaves.
Okay, ma'am.
Right? So what is anisophilous? Presence of 3 different types of leaves. 2 rows will have large leaves. 1 row of leaf will have medium-sized leaf. And another row will have the small hair-like leaves. Okay, such a type of arrangement of the leaves or presence of those leaves, we call them as anisophilous. So this is a diagram of a Lycopodium plant. So at the bottom, you can see here, these are the roots, adventitious roots. And this is the stem, which is a creeping-like structure. And on the stem here, you can see the presence of the leaves. Now, that is regarding the morphology, that is external morphology, how the plant looks like. Now we are moving on to the anatomy. Okay, the internal, when you take a transverse section, how these parts of the Lycopodium looks like. Now, when you're talking about the anatomy of the root here, so the most important point you are supposed to remember here is in the anatomy of root of this Lycopodium, the root anatomy in Lycopodium. So I'm not discussing about this everything because the most important point only I'm discussing here. The stela region, so the central part, the stela region is called as a protostele. That is the first formed stele. We call it as a protostelic condition. Okay. And another important one is the xylem. When I talk about the xylem here, it can be a monarch condition or a diarch condition or triarch condition. So this is a diagram here I'm showing you. This is of a diarch condition. That means you can see the presence of 2 protoxylems here. This is a one protoxylem and this is a another protoxylem. Okay. And you can look into see here, this xylem, this is a curved. You can observe the shape of the xylem. This is a curved or inverted C-like structure or inverted U. Okay, so this is a very important point to be noted in the Lycopodium of root anatomy. Xylem is curved and the phloem will lies in between these two xylem arms. Okay, you can see here. Sorry, excuse me. So the central part, what you can see here, this is a phloem. Okay, and this is a curved xylem here with the presence of two protoxylems. This condition, what we call it as a DR condition. So this is the most important point. It has to be remember in the lycopodium anatomy of the root. Now, next moving on to the anatomy of the stem anatomy in the lycopodium. So as we know, it is made up of epidermis, cortex, endodermis, and the stele. And in the lycopodium, the stele here, it is of protostelic condition. That is, the protostele means there will be no pith in the center. Okay, that condition is called as protostele. In the Japan, stele has this point is very, very important point to be noted. Okay, in lycopodium, either in the root or in the stem, the stele is of protostelic condition because it is a very primitive pteridophytic plant. First vascular plant here. So we can see the presence of only the protostelic condition in case of lycopodium. There will be no pith region in the center. Okay. Now, when we talk about the how is this protostele in the lycopodium? The protostelic condition in the stem, it varies from species to species of lycopodium. That means to say, so if you see the examples like Lycopodium selago or Lycopodium serratum, here you can see the stele is of a star shaped. So this is a diagram I can show you here. The stellar region, it is of a star shaped stellar region. So this type of protostele is called actinostelic condition. So here I'm highlighting again the highlighting here the condition, the examples here. Actinostele is observed in dash species of Lycopodium. What is actinostele? The stellar region which is in the form of a star shape. Okay, that is especially the xylem. It is in the star shape. And the tips of the arms or the tips of this star, we can see the presence of the phloem. Okay, so the examples are Lycopodium selago and Lycopodium serratum. So this question, last time they asked, actinostelic condition is observed in dash species of Lycopodium or plectostelic condition. Now, what is this plectostelic condition? You can see this example here. This plectostelic condition means the xylem is in the form of plates. You can see here, they are in the form of plates. And the phloem will be at the arms, at the radiating arms of these plates. So this condition is called as plectostelic condition, is observed in clavatum and campanulatum. Next, another type of stele which is observed in the species called as Lycopodium cernum. The stele is called as mixed protostele. That means the xylem as well as the phloem, they are uniformly distributed. Okay, we can't say that the xylem is this shaped or phloem is this shaped. No, it is uniformly distributed throughout the stellar region. The xylem as well as phloem, uniformly distributed. So that type of stele, I'm calling it as mixed protostelic condition. So I repeat this once again. The stele or the stellar region in Lycopodium, it is of protostelic condition. And we can see the presence of three different types of protosteles in a different type of species. One is called as actinostelic condition. Second one is plectostele. And the third one is mixed protostele. And these are the examples. I hope this is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Next, we're moving on to the leaf anatomy. So we can see here the leaf. As it is the leaf, as it is a sessile leaf, the leaf is getting directly attached to the stem. And when we take the transverse section of the leaf lamina, the leaf is a triangular in outline. You can see when I take a transverse section of this leaf, it gives the appearance of a triangle in shape. And it's going to consist of the outer as well as the lower epidermis. And we can see the presence of
Ma'am?
outer thick cuticle. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, how leaf is triangular in shape, ma'am?
As there is no stalk, there is no presence of any petiole. The lamina is directly getting attached to the stem. Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
So the base of the lamina will
Okay.
be triangular in shape when you take the transverse section. So due to that, it appears a triangular in shape, right? I
Ma'am,
hope
this
is
is
clear.
this in this structure, it is looking like oval shape, ma'am.
Okay, if I drag this picture down, it becomes a triangular. I'm not telling it is a completely triangular in shape. It's not like it is almost a triangular in shape. Okay.
Okay, ma'am. Okay,
Oval
ma'am.
will be a perfectly round. So suppose if I draw a diagram here, wait a minute. So just I'm taking a pen. So that if I say it is a so if I draw a diagram of it's not coming. Right. Okay, fine. Right. So oval means it will be a perfectly round in shape, almost a round in shape. But here it is not round. It is giving rise to somewhat triangular in outline. Okay. So it is not that important, but I'm telling it is a triangular in outline. Whereas the most important point to be remembered here in leaf anatomy is we can see the presence of a single vascular bundle in the center, and it is the xylem will be lying in the center surrounded by the phloem. So we call this it as concentric vascular bundle. A single vascular bundle in the center in which xylem will be lying in the center surrounded by phloem. So that is called as concentric vascular bundle. So this is a term you should be remembering. So this is about the anatomy and the morphology. Now moving on to the reproduction. This lycopodium, it is going to reproduce vegetatively by gemmae or the bulbous reproductive structures, fragmentation, or by resting buds, or with the help of root tubercules, or by the adventitious buds. But whatever it may be, vegetative reproduction is carried out by the vegetative parts of the plant body. Next, it can also be carried out with the help of the spores, and the spores, whatever it is going to produce, they are of homosporous type. So can you tell what are homosporous? Yesterday I talked about that. Yesterday I talked about homosporous and heterosporous condition, girls.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, what is homosporous type? What is homosporous? Yeah. Anybody?
Ma'am, I'm not getting.
Homosporous means the sporangia which is going to produce only a single type of spore.
Okay,
It
ma'am.
is homosporous condition. Right. Fine. So here when you're talking about the gemmae or vegetative reproduction producing with the help of gemmae or bulbils. Next, either by fragmentation or by the resting buds, tubercules, and all that. Now, so next we are moving on to the strobilus. How is the strobilus in Lycopodium? I'll show you here. This is the structure of the strobilus. You can see the yellow color one at the top. Those all are called as the strobilus. So what are the strobilus? Strobilus means what? a group of sporophylls. Okay, the aggregation of the sporophylls to forming a cone-like structure that we call it as strobulus. What is a sporophyll? What is a sporophyll?
Ma'am,
What do you mean by a sporophyll?
aggregated into compact cone.
That is strobulus. What is sporophyll? Sporophyll means the leaves which are going to consist of the sporangia. They are called as sporophylls. Am I clear?
Ma'am, once again tell, ma'am.
Strobulus means what? Aggregation of sporophylls is called strobulus or cone. What is a
Okay, ma'am.
sporophyll? What is a sporophyll? The leaf which is going to consist of the sporangia. They are called as sporophylls. Okay, right.
Okay, okay, ma'am.
Now, so where is the sporangia lying on the sporophyll? It also differs from one species to the another species. In Selago and Phlegmaria, the position of the sporophyll is axillary. Or sorry, the position of the sporangium, that is, the sporangia, they are developed in the axil of the leaf. Okay, that condition is called as axillary position. Whereas in Cernum and Clavatum, the sporangia are developed on the dorsal side of the leaf. The sporangia, they are developed on the dorsal side of the leaf. And whereas in squarosum, they are subfoliar. Okay, so that is also very, very important. You can see here, this is a diagram of a strobulus, Lycopodium strobulus. And here you can see the dark colored ones in the, okay, these are the sporangia. The dark colored ones are the sporangia, which are developed in the axil of the leaf. This is a leaf here. We can see the development of sporangia in the axil. Okay, so this is the sporangia. This is the leaf. So they are present on the leaf. This is called, this entire structure is called as now the sporophyll. Yeah, here it is very clear again. So this is the sporophyll and this is a sporangia. That is here the leaf which is going to develop the sporangia. That particular leaf is called as sporophyll. Okay, this is the kidney-shaped structure, what we call it as sporangia. Now, when we talk about the structure of the sporangia here, these sporangia are kidney-shaped structures having a small stalk. And inside, this is a capsule. The entire part of this sporangia, it is called as a capsule. And it is unilocular. That means it is having only a single compartment. And inside this, we can see the presence of sporogenous mother cell or sporogenous tissue. And each sporogenous mother cell will undergo meiotic division and results in the formation of 4 spores or a spore tetrad. And all these spores are monospore, that is, they are homosporous type. All these spores are same or equal in size and structure. So when you talk about the spores, the Lycopodium, it is of homosporous type. Homosporous type occurred in tetrads and they are unicellular. They are ranging from, they are very, very small. You can see here 0.03 to 0.05 mm in diameter. We can see the presence of a triradiate mark in the center and having a single nucleus with reserve food material. Now, what these spores will do, when the sporangium get matured, the sporangium will get breakdown and all the spores are going to be exposed out. That is, they are released out and they will take up the water and they move into the air. Now, these spores from the, that is from the air, they, when they fall down onto the surface, they are germinating and going to form the next generation, what we call it as gametophyte generation, or we call it as a prothallus. So here the spore germinates to produce a gametophyte, and the gametophyte we call it as prothallus. And this prothallus, it is why we are calling it as a gametophyte, because it develops the 2 sexual organs, Antheridia and the Archegonia. And this gametophyte, it is independent of the sporophyte. And so there are three types of prothalli observed in the Lycopodium. They are type of Cernum, Clavatum, and Phlegmaria type. So you can see this is of the Lycopodium campanulatum, gametophytic structure. And clavatum type, you can see here, this is a clavatum observed in the Lycopodium clavatum. And this is a Phlegmaria prothallus observed in Lycopodium Phlegmaria. Now, whatever it may be, with the gametophyte, with the so-called prothallus, they are going to develop the sexual organs. You can see here, these are called as the antheridia and the archegonia. And from the antheridia, they are going to produce. So this is antheridium. Okay. So the prothalli of Lycopodium, it is a monoecious. That is the mole. Antheridia and archegonia, they are developed on the same prothallus. And this antheridia, it is a sunken type having the antheridial mother cells inside that, giving rise to the male gametes, what we call it as anthrozoids. And these anthrozoids are motile, having the presence of two flagella. And whereas archegonia, you can see here, this archegonia is a flask-shaped center, that is flask-shaped structure, having the basal venter and 4 to 8 neck canal cells. And in the venter, we can see that the presence or the development of the female gamete called as the egg. When fertilization, so when archegonium get matures, the tip of the neck cells or these neck cells, they get disintegrated and they form a mucilaginous substance. These anthrozoids, they enter into the archegonium and they'll reach the venter and fuse with the egg and results in the formation of a diploid cell called as the oospore or the zygote. Now this zygote, upon division, it forms an embryo and embryo develops into the adult plant, again the so-called sporophyte. So you can see here, this is the life cycle of the Lycopodium. So this is the Lycopodium plant. At the time of reproduction, this is the strobili. So in the strobili, we can see the sporophyll structure. So within the sporophyll, there is the sporangia. Now these sporangia, they are liberating these other spores. These spores are germinating and forming this prothallus. Prothallus is going to consist of antheridium as it is a monoecious, having antheridia and archegonia. Fertilization will occur. Here you can see this is a archegonia. The anthrozoids are moving into here, fusing with the egg and forming a young zygote and the embryo. This will get developed into a new adult sporophyte. So this is about the life cycle of the Lycopodium. So any doubts on this, please? So this is about the life cycle. Any doubts here? Shall I stop share the screen?
Ma'am,
Yeah.
ma'am, you said that in anatomy of root, you, it is having two epidermis and cortex.
In each and every anatomy, generally the tissues are divided into three types: outer epidermal tissue, middle cortical tissue, and inner will be the stela region. Stela region pertains to the presence of xylem and phloem. That is the vascular tissue. As the pteridophytes are the vascular plants, we can see the presence of xylem and the phloem tissue. Okay.
Ma'am, once show the 3 times.
Yeah, I'm showing that once. Yeah, so this is the root here. I'm showing you the anatomy. So this is the root I'm showing you here. So this is the stela region.
Madam, doubt.
Yes, Adganama. So you could children, this is the one what we are calling it as a curved xylem. Okay, this is a diar condition here, presence of two protoxylums here. And it is
Okay,
a
ma'am.
curved. This the protostele of in the root of Lycopodium root, the xylem is in the form of a curved shape with two protoxylums on the radiating arms. Yes,
Okay, ma'am.
I hope this is clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, inka evarki doubts unnai? Still anybody having doubts? Okay, I'm stop sharing here. Still any more doubts?
Okay, my dear friends, any doubts?
Yeah. Yes, sir. I have done with this type study.
Okay, madam. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Next class will start
Thank you,
sharp
sir.
3:15 p.m. My dear friends. Madam is she is ready to take the class. Dr.A. Shailaja Madam Garu. So 3:15 will start again, my dear friends. Thank you very much, madam, for your
Okay, sir.
wonderful
Thank
session.
you. Yeah.
Wonderful session about the type study of the Lycopodium in Pteridophyta plants. So this is most important, my dear friends. Lycopodium cernum, Lycopodium selago, Lycopodium species, different species consist of different types of steels. So steels are uh, formed from this plant onwards. So my dear friends, Lycopodium is most important. So madam, thank you very much.
Okay,
Definitely
thank you.
stellar evaluation. In stellar evaluation, definitely we will once again remind each and every species of the Lycopodium. Thank you very much, madam.
Right, sir. I'm leaving.
Right.